Hello, my people, and welcome. Are you ready to get that A1 in commerce? Well, a very big piece of it is hiding inside today's topic, business units. I'm serious. If you can master this, you're on a fast track to smashing your exams. So let's get right into it. All right. So what exactly is this business unit we're talking about? It's simple, really. It's the legal wrapper you put around a business. Think of it like the foundation of a house. It decides absolutely everything. How you raise money, who gets the blame if things go wrong, who makes the final decisions, and even if the business can continue after the owner is gone. It's not just a textbook definition, it's a huge critical choice. Now listen up, because this is the really important part. Why is this topic a gold mine for you? I'll tell you. In real life, yeah, it's everywhere, from the smallest shop in Alaba Market right up to a giant like NNPC. But for you, for your exams, this is where the real value is. I am telling you, this topic shows up every single year in WAEC and JAMB and NECO. They can't get enough of it. They love asking about the features, the advantages, the disadvantages, all of it. So if you lock this down, you have basically bagged yourself some guaranteed marks before you even walk into that hall. So here's our game plan for today. We'll start with the basics, then we'll line up all the different types and see what makes them tick. We'll also look at how they are born and how they, well, how they end. And then the best part, we're going to tackle real past questions before we do a quick summary to make sure all it sticks tight. Ready? Let's go. Okay, let's get into the main event, comparing the different types of business units. And just so you know, we're not just making this up. Everything we're about to cover is coming straight from your official syllabus. This is exactly what the examiners expect you to know. All right, everyone eyes on this table. Seriously, if there's one thing you need to screenshot or write down, it's this. This is your cheat sheet for the whole topic. Let's just pick two extremes to see the difference. Look at sole proprietorship. Think of Mama Ngozi's provision store. It's just her, one person. But check out that liability, unlimited. That is a very scary word. It means if her business gets into debt, they can come for her personal car, her house, everything. Now jump down to a public limited company like GT Bank. Shareholders, unlimited. And the liability, limited. That's the magic word. If you own shares and the company fails, you only lose the money you used for the shares. They cannot touch your personal property. See the huge difference? And look at continuity. Mama Ngozi's shop ends when she does. GT Bank has perpetual succession. It can legally live forever. Okay, let's zoom in on the important details, those key words the examiners are looking for. For sole proprietorship, remember these two things. Super easy to start, but the risk is all on you. For partnership, the magic document you have to remember is the partnership deed. That's their rulebook. Now for the big ones, the limited liability companies, LTD or PLC, the killer phrase is separate legal entity. The company is its own person in the eyes of the law. It can sue and it can be sued. Now don't mix up a public limited company like Dangote Cement with a public corporation like NNPC. NNPC is owned by the government to serve the public. And finally, cooperative societies. They have two unique things. Their democratic style of one man, one vote, and that special bonus members get, called a patronage allowance. Don't forget that term. So, we've met the different types of businesses, but now let's talk about their life story. How are they born and how do they end? So, where do you go to legally start a business in Nigeria? Well, for most of them, the journey begins at one place, the CAC, the Corporate Affairs Commission. A sole trader? Simple. You just register your business name. A partnership, you have to register that partnership deed. For companies, it's a bit more serious. You have to file two big documents, the memorandum and articles of association. But wait, there are exceptions, and exams love to test you on the exceptions. Public corporations are not born at the CAC. They're created by a special law, an act of parliament. And cooperatives, they register with the State Ministry of Cooperatives. Knowing these small differences is how you get those top marks. Okay, let's put you in the driver's seat. Imagine you want to start a business tomorrow. How do you pick the right structure? Well, you'd ask yourself these questions. How much money do I need? If it's a lot, a sole proprietorship is probably not the way to go. How much risk can I handle personally? If you don't want to risk your family house, you definitely need limited liability. Do I want to be the only boss, making all the calls? Then a sole proprietorship is perfect. These points right here, this is exactly what you should write if an examiner asks you to advise an entrepreneur. Now for the not-so-happy part, the end of a business. It's not just about locking the doors. There's a formal process. First, the decision is made to end the business. That's dissolution. Then a liquidator is appointed to sell off everything and turn it into cash. Now listen very carefully to this next part because it's a huge exam point. Who gets paid first? The creditors. Everyone the business owes money to gets paid before the owners see one kobo. That order is absolutely crucial to remember. Okay, enough of the theory. You've learned how they start, how they run, and how they end. Now for the real test. This is where we see what you are made of. It's time to apply this knowledge. We're going to solve actual past questions from WAEC, JAMB, and NECO. This is how you build the confidence to walk into that exam hall and perform. Check this out. A classic WAEC theory question, straight from the year 2000. It's in two parts. Part A gives you a scenario. Some sole proprietors want to team up and form a partnership. What are 7 problems they are going to run into? Then Part B asks, what are 3 situations where a partnership is actually a good idea? You see how they test both sides? This is typical WAEC style. So for Part A, you need 7 clear problems to get your full marks. Let's look at a few. Number 1, unlimited liability. Before, only one person was at risk. Now all the partners are risking their personal property. Number 2, slower decision-making. You can't just act on your own anymore. You have to consult and agree. And number 6 is a big one. Profits are shared. That money that used to be all yours, now you have to split it. By listing and briefly explaining each point like this, you are on your way to securing full marks. And for Part B, which is worth 3 marks, you just need to state 3 conditions where a partnership makes sense. So, 1, when you don't need a massive amount of capital. 2, when the business needs a combination of different professional skills, like a firm of lawyers or doctors coming together. And 3, when you want to keep the business within a close-knit group, like a family. These are the precise answers the WAEC examiner is looking for. Now, I have to warn you about a very common mistake here. Students start mixing things up. For a problem of partnership, they might write, owner keeps all profit. No, that's an advantage of a sole proprietorship. You must answer the question directly. And please, please, always structure your answer with headings A and B and number your points clearly. Examiners love organized answers. It makes their job easier and it gets you more marks. All right, let's switch gears to a JAMB objective question from 1994. It's asking for a distinguishing characteristic of a limited liability company. What makes it special? The answer is C. It can sue and it can be sued. Why? Because it all comes back to that golden phrase we talked about, separate legal entity. The company is its own person in the eyes of the law. A and B are just wrong definitions. And D, well, D is a classic trap. Let me be very clear about this trap. So many students see the word limited and their brain immediately jumps to option D, has limited resources. No, no, no. That is completely wrong. Limited liability has nothing to do with how much money the company has. It is about the owner's risk, their liability. Their potential loss is limited to what they invested. That's it. Don't fall for that trick. And one more, this time from NECO, 2003. A form of business unit in which members are given patronage allowance is, the moment you see that keyword, patronage allowance, a light bulb should go off in your head. That is a unique feature of only one business type on this list, the cooperative society. It's their special way of sharing profits with members. So the answer is without a doubt A. Fantastic work. We've gone through the A to Z of business units and even practiced with real exam questions. Now let's do a final quick summary and I'll give you some last-minute tips to make sure all this information is locked in tight for exam day. Okay, rapid-fire review. 4 definitions you must know by heart. Business unit, the legal structure of ownership. Limited liability, it means owners only lose their investment if the business fails. Patronage allowance, that's special bonus for co-op members. And dissolution, the formal end of a business's life. Got it? Good. Now, these tips are from an examiner's point of view. Number 1 is gold. Always define the key term in the question before you start explaining. It can earn you free marks. Use headings, number your points, and never confuse similar terms. For multiple choice questions, eliminate the obviously wrong answers first to increase your chances. And if they ask for 7 points, give them 7, not 6. And to help you remember this on exam day, here's a quick memory trick. Just think, a sole proprietorship is simple to start but has scary risk. A partnership involves more people, but that can lead to problems. And a limited company offers limited risk but requires a lot of legal documents. A simple trick to keep the core idea straight. And that is it. By understanding this topic thoroughly, you have genuinely mastered a section that can give you between 15 to 20 marks in every single commerce paper you write. Be confident. You now have the knowledge you need to excel. If you found this lesson helpful, please like this video, share it with your classmates and friends who are also preparing for WAEC, JAMB, and NECO, and subscribe to our YouTube channel right now so you don't miss the next topic. Also visit www.examclip.com for thousands of free practice questions and answers. Let's smash these exams together.